Moving right along, part 2 of common running faults that can cause Achilles tendinopathy. So the first one was this launching or bouncing up and down. Part 2, I think you're going to be a little bit surprised. The F word, forefoot. So before you guys get crazy, if you are having no Achilles issues, no ankle issues, no calf issues, I'm not trying to change anybody. And heck, even if you do have Achilles pain and you're a forefoot striker and you love it and you don't want to change, I'm not here to change you, but I want to explain to you why forefoot striking can cause Achilles tendinopathy. So what happens when we land forefoot? They've done studies where they've taken force plates, which measure impact and loading rate, and they look at forefoot versus heel and then also midfoot. Forefoot striking spares your knees. Every time you land, every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Your body has to take and dissipate that force up the chain. We don't want it all to go to one spot. We want to have a nice kind of even distribution. When you do land on the forefoot, your calf, meaning your Achilles, takes the brunt of that initial contact, as much of that loading rate as possible in the beginning. So by the time it gets to your knee, let's say just arbitrarily 100 points of impact. When you land, if you land on that forefoot, let's say that that calf and the Achilles takes about 60% of that. So there's only 40 points left by the time it gets to the knee versus overstriding, which is typically associated with a heel strike. You're not landing on the forefoot at all, so your calf muscle isn't helping. That force goes right up the chain, up the shin splints to the knee. So of that, instead of 40, maybe you're getting 80 points of impact now to the knee. So landing on the forefoot does spare the knee, but at the expense of the Achilles and the calf. So my analogy for forefoot striking is like people that speed up to a stop sign. Doesn't that drive you nuts? It's like we're all going to the same place. You have to stop. There's no sense in accelerating really, really fast to stop. So when we land forefoot, it's like it's going to happen anyway. Your foot is going to hit the ground. There's no reason to hit it first or to try to paw down and land with the ball of your foot because it's going to happen anyways. And what happens is if you're landing on your forefoot, you're actively or putting the ankle and the foot down. And what is that doing? That's activating your calves again. So by the time it hits the ground, it's a little bit stiffer. Stiff muscles don't dissipate forces quite as well, quite as easily. So when we land, there's going to be this quick moment where your heel is going to drop to the ground, which puts a quick stretch on your Achilles tendon. So it's like speeding up. If you're going to land on your forefoot, try in your mind to picture it's your glutes, it's your hips that are driving the foot back underneath you, under your center of mass. But don't try to reach it before it happens. So you can see here it's going to go in slow motion, forefoot landing. So you can see while it is a little bit less stress, it is going to sound less impact. Where it's going is the calf and the Achilles. So you can see from the back view, sometimes the heel never even touches the ground. And that puts a lot of stress on the Achilles, constant tension. So to summarize, I am not trying to change anybody. If you love forefoot striking, you got a running club called Forefoot Strikers, I'm not trying to change you. If you've got Achilles pain though, I want you to reevaluate and think, is it really worth it? Can we modify? Can we have that middle ground of not the heel, not the forefoot, but right in that midfoot? So my cue that I like to use with people for this is imagine like the bottom of your foot is like a stamp. When you try to land with that image as flat as possible underneath your body, underneath your hips. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, please drop them below.